As we enter the spring travel season, we're looking at a new option for people wanting to learn about the part of the world we live in.
John Tyson and I recently traveled the 395 corridor down south through the eastern Sierra. With us, researchers from the University of Nevada, Reno, who shed a whole new light on this beautiful country. This month, we'll show you how you can learn what we did with the help of the Roadside Heritage Program.
Well, I grew up backpacking in this country and the extreme environments and the beauty of those environments and how plants and animals have adapted to them have fascinated me. And that really is an underlying theme of the overall program.
Extreme environments like the frigid 11,000-foot peak of Mammoth Mountain to the boiling waters of Hot Creek less than 30 miles away. Extreme animals that live here like the bighorn sheep.
There's amazing adaptations in this world.
To the oldest trees on the planet.
So we can look back in time nearly 10,000 years, which takes us pretty close to the last ice age here in California.
Along Highway 395, from just south of the Nevada border down to Lone Pine, scientists have noted points of beauty and interest and shared their knowledge on CDs you can pick up at any of these points along the way.
Well, we're working on a 3-year project that's funded by the National Science Foundation called the Roadside Heritage Project. And the primary product coming out of this project is a series of audio shows that are intended to educate the traveling public as well as local citizens about the science heritage of the region.
So even if you don't have an entourage of scientists like John and I had, you can learn a lot as you drive through some of the most beautiful country in the West.
This lake is a high salinity lake. It's about 3 times the salinity level as seawater.
Wow, that just looked so amazing.
It is.
This involves more than our university.
Well, it does. UC Berkeley and the Eastern Sierra Institute for Collaborative Education are working with UNR's Academy for the Environment and Raggio Research Center under the federal grant. It's quite the alphabet soup, but you don't need to worry about that. John and I will show you new scenery every Thursday this month, along with some interesting facts from our UNR researchers.
Well, let's get started. The Sierra Nevada is one of the most restless mountain ranges in the West. 760,000 years ago, the Long Valley caldera south of Mammoth Mountain exploded in a cataclysmic event, spreading ash as far east as Nebraska and Kansas.
That volcano is still not extinct, and the past could very well become the future, as John shows us.
The Sierra Nevada was created 140 million years ago. Tectonic plates of the Earth's surface collided and caused these mountains to rise out of the Earth's crust. Over the course of millions of years, glaciers carved out the valleys, while magma from deep within the Earth created gigantic volcanoes that helped to form the jagged peaks and deep caldera, such as this one in Long Valley.
And it was something on the order of 300,000 cubic miles of material that was sent into the atmosphere.
Volcanoes are the most violent and yet least predictable of all natural wonders. Destructive in scope, the magma pushes toward the surface where in many cases the result is a cataclysmic explosion. And that is exactly what scientists say happened here 760,000 years ago, and will most likely happen again.
There are active volcanoes all across the Sierras and the Cascades, and it's something that we have to live with. It's something we have to monitor.
That evidence of active volcanic activity is apparent here at Hot Creek. Water seeping into the ground comes in contact with superheated rock, resulting in boiling water bubbling in pools like this one.
There are recordings of temperature changes of hundreds of degrees in a matter of seconds.
And here in the caldera itself, a magma dome is slowly rising, and there have been several earthquake swarms over the past several years, and discharge of toxic carbon dioxide has destroyed more than 75 acres of trees on the north side of Horseshoe Lake.
Even though this is considered an active volcano, I don't think we have to worry about an eruption day after tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Most scientists believe this is probably not going to happen for another 100 years or so, if even then. By then, why, I probably won't be around to see it anyway. On Mammoth Mountain, John Tyson, KOLO 8 News Now.
Now, these CD tour guides are free, although they won't all be available at all those locations until next year. But you can also get all the audio tours online. Just visit our website, kolotv.com, go to Day Trippin', and you can learn a lot while having a great time touring beautiful country.
And you just had so much fun on this trip. You
Oh,
came
you
back
did.
with tons of photos for us.
And you've just heard stories ever since then, so.
Now I really
it was
want to
great.
go, so I'm going to borrow those.
All right.
Our Roadside Heritage Series along the Eastern Sierra takes us to the jewel of Mono County.
It's an ancient, oh, I'm sorry.
Mono Lake.
That's right. I was thinking Mono already. It is an ancient lake, estimated to be about 1 million years old. It has survived volcanoes and evaporation, but it's still one of the most fragile ecosystems in the Eastern Sierra. John Tyson has more on how Mono Lake has weathered the storm of change.
The storm that brews over the Sierra will ruffle the waters and not much else. It has been this way since the lake was created some 760,000 years ago. Mono is unique. Scientists call it a terminal lake.
A terminal lake is the water is coming out of the hills and then it has no place to leave.
The lake is 139 feet at its deepest and covers close to 65 square miles. It contains 280 million tons of salt, making it 3 times saltier than the oceans. And even though the lake is taking in more water since the group to save Mono Lake won a lawsuit against the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power over diversions, it won't have much effect on the lake's ability to increase its water supply.
As part of the mitigation to restore the lake, I think the target is try to maintain it at approximately the levels that it's at now.
It is these grotesque formations that give Mono Lake its unique identity. These limestone formations were once underwater, created by a chemical reaction between calcium-rich underwater springs and the carbonate water of the lake.
Sort of rains, basically, and it forms the tufas over periods of time.
The lake is so salty. This is the only species that can survive in it. It's the brine shrimp.
Yeah, there he is. We got him.
There are millions of them, and they provide the food for the migratory birds that nest here in the spring.
People are working very hard to save these lakes, to maintain them as they've been maintained for a lot of years, and they can deteriorate quickly when the water sources are removed.
The lake, for all its charm and beauty, is living on borrowed time. Eventually, the high rate of evaporation will cause the lake to dry up sometime in the future. The good news is, scientists say there's a good chance it could come back again. At Mono Lake, John Tyson, KOLO 8 News Now.
Well, it's scenic. Scientists at the University of Nevada, Reno, and several other organizations have put together an audio tour of our highway heritage along the 395 corridor. You can pick up free CD travel guides at visitor centers along the way, and you can download them all on the internet. Just log on to our web channel, kolotv.com, and click on Day Trippin'.
Just looked absolutely beautiful. I know you and John were so thrilled to go on that trip.
We were. We just saw one beautiful sight right after another.